Hey, Jenny, welcome to Crosswalk Talk. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Jenny, of course, you are releasing your first ever children's book right now. What to do with your whirly, swirly thoughts? It's hard to say sometimes, which tackles the mental health crisis. I think this is really needed. I really enjoyed reading it. Jenny, obvious question: what led you to want to tackle this subject in the form of a children's book?
Absolutely. Well, I will say this, that yes, there's another pandemic underneath the other pandemic that has taken over the world, and it is anxiety, and it is very concerning and prevalent with our kids. And so I was seeing that in my own kids, I was seeing that in my friends' kids and my nieces and nephews, and it broke my heart. But I have walked through it myself where I have struggled with these thoughts and these fears, and I wrote a book called Get Out of Your Head, in 2019, 2020. It came out right before the pandemic. And that book just took off. And I think it took off with the timing of it, and also just the need that there was so much anxiety in the world. But when you think of a kid wrestling with suicidal ideation, wrestling with maybe as simple as just a tight chest and they don't know why, wrestling with bullying at school, wrestling with all these different things that our kids are dealing with, and never talking about it, that breaks my heart. And so my heart was, I really want Get Out of Your Head to be in the form of a kid's book so that parents can start these conversations with them way earlier. I was 20 something when I realized for the very first time that I could control my thoughts. I read a
Mm.
verse in the Bible that said, take every thought captive from Second Corinthians. And it occurred to me. I had never heard that before. I had never learned that till I was 20 something, an adult. So my hope is that this brings up the conversation way sooner, that kids aren't alone in their spiraling thoughts, and that parents will be able to enter into these conversations in a really simple, beautiful way.
What age? What's the target age for this book in your mind?
Yeah, I would say early readers. So you're looking at um, anywhere from three to, I'd say eight or nine. But there's no doubt. I mean, I talked to somebody earlier today that said I was just crying reading it. I mean, I think it ministers to all of us just to hear the simple truth that God has built our brains and
Yeah.
that we can control our thoughts. I think it gives even parents hope.
Yeah, because I think the best children's books also teach parents, and I think
Yeah.
this one does that. Give us an overview on the last few chapters where you explain to parents and children how they can take every thought captive. You were just talking about that verse,
Yeah.
and the last few chapters talks about that.
Yeah. I
What,
mean,
what
chapters, it's such a short little book, just so everybody
Sure,
knows. It's an
pages, yes,
illustrated book. Yeah.
yes,
But yes, I would say when you get to the end of the book, that part actually was inspired by counselors and psychologists that we talked to that said, "Hey, give some handles to this. This is all accurate and true and helpful, but give kids handles. They need to know what to do." And so we kept it super simple. Get outside, move your body, share it with somebody, don't hide, and then trust the Lord and know what he says about you and know what is true. And so it's a really simple formula that does work and it does help. I mean, it's amazing how if I just practice these simple things, my life goes better. Gratitude is another way that you
yeah.
see that spiral really be interrupted and to shift. We used to do that with our kids when they would come home from school. They would want to tell us about everything bad that had happened that day. And we would say, first, before you do that, tell us a few, two or three good things that happened first. Just honestly retraining their mind to see the good, because we are so prone to just seeing the negative and to talk about the negative.
Yeah, I say chapters. Pages is more like it because it's 20 or
It's
30
short. Yeah.
pages or whatever. I forgot how many. Um, do you have any thoughts on what is driving this mental health crisis in
Yeah.
our society? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, there's no doubt that the most dangerous thing for people is to be isolated. And so isolation is at the core of our souls right now, and there's not a deeper need we have than connection. And I think that isolation crisis is fed by technology, whether it's that we can get everything we need through Amazon, or whether it's we're looking at Snapchat and all our friends are together at another house and didn't include us, or whether it's, a kid who is secretly, addicted to porn, or exposed to I think of the video games that kids play now. I mean, even just
Sure.
Fortnite, it's super simple. Most, 8-year-olds play it, but they're shooting people. I mean, it's pretty violent stuff even in a young kids' hand and mind. And so
Yeah.
I think we have news that's bombarding them every day. All of that is rooted in technology that's leading to isolation. And that isolation, we got to help them fight back. And I would just say to parents too, do not be afraid to say no to your kids. My kids were the last ones to have phones. They were the last ones to have social media.
Yeah.
And my kids today, are 25 to 16 and they thank me. And their lives are so much richer. One of my sons is a big outdoorsman, a fly fisherman. He started fly fishing camps when he was 14. And I have no doubt that all of that came from holding out on them. And
Yeah.
it felt hard. I mean, we were sometimes the only ones like swimming upstream with this. And we just felt convicted. We were like, we're not giving you this toxic stuff in your hand. It makes your life miserable. And so praise God, they had childhoods but it was hard fought. And so I just want to encourage parents, be the bad guy, say no. One day they're going to thank you.
Maybe I'm pleading ignorance here. Have you written about smartphones and teens yet? If not, when are you going to? Because those are some wise words you just said.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the best stuff I have on this is actually my son, who is now in his 20s. And I did a podcast together about it. And he just shared his story. And so you can find that at
Okay.
jennieallen.com. And it really was
Yeah.
precious to hear him really plead for the next generation to say, don't do this. This
Yeah.
is not the road. So
Yeah, my oldest, he was the last in his class to have a phone, and my
yeah.
next, the ones that came after them, we learned a lot from him. They have Gab phones now. I don't get any money for those guys, but let me ask you one more question. You were the visionary behind Gather 25. You've spoken on college campuses. You, of course, have been behind other conferences, including the IF gatherings. I just wanted to close by asking you: do you sense a spiritual movement around the world right now?
Oh, yeah. For all the darkness, for all the anxiety, the depression, that loneliness, it sure does create a lot of desperation for God. And we go to these campuses and we ask, are you anxious? Are you lonely? And every single light comes on and phones are raised and it's sad. It's the whole room. But when we lay out the gospel, they want Jesus. And it's a special time to be alive. I think revival is here. I don't think it's coming. I think it's here. I've been on 17 college campuses with a ministry called Unite, and it has been ridiculous what God is doing. We can't believe it. We just genuinely can't believe it. And then we hosted Gather 25 and the World Gather. We had over 7 million people watching across the global church from every continent to every continent. And the unity that was there, yes, I think there's a hunger for God that is fresh. And I believe he's blessing it and pouring out his spirit. We saw it at Asbury and it's just spread from there.
Yeah, I guess last question. It seems to me that maybe the pandemic is what sparked all this, that everybody kind of, it was a moment where we had to really face our, eternal destiny and look at the things in our life and ask whether we wanted everything that we already had. Do you think that's what sparked it, or is it something else?
I can't wait to hear in heaven. I don't know. I mean, I wish if we knew,
Yeah,
right, we would control things more. I think, I don't know. I think that's part of it. I think, yeah, whatever's fed this desperation, all the things, I think are part of the story.
yeah.
But ultimately, I just want more of it. I'm like, God, please don't stop. Whatever's happening, let it rain more. Let the storms come in and roll, and may you be glorified, and may the world worship you because you are worthy of worship.
Jenny, it's always good talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.